Hello everybody. If you want to read all the stories in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. Short story 335, A Weekday in the Life of a Baker. Intermediate. It was 3 a.m. and the first hints of dawn were just beginning to paint the eastern sky a pale shade of grey. Inside the small bakery on Elm Street, however, the lights were already blazing, and the air was thick with the warm, comforting aroma of baking bread. Thomas, the baker, moved with practiced efficiency around the kitchen, his hands covered in flour. He had been working in his bakery for over 20 years, and the routine was as familiar to him as his own reflection. Every morning, long before the rest of the town awoke, he would be here, preparing the day's fresh bread and pastries. He started by mixing the dough for the sourdough loaves, a process that required precise measurements and careful attention to detail. He measured the flour, water, and starter, combining them in a large mixing bowl. He kneaded the dough with strong, rhythmic movements, feeling the texture change beneath his hands. Once the dough was ready, he placed it in large baskets to proof, allowing it to rise slowly and develop its characteristic tangy flavour. Next, he moved on to the pastries. He prepared the croissants, carefully layering the dough with butter and folding it into its distinctive crescent shape. He made the pain au chocolat, filling the flaky pastry with rich dark chocolate. He also prepared a batch of fruit scones, adding plump raisins and currants to the dough. As the ovens began to heat up, Thomas started shaping the loaves of bread. He carefully transferred the proof dough from the baskets onto the baking trays, scoring the tops with a sharp knife. He placed the trays into the hot ovens, setting the timers and monitoring the baking process closely. The bakery began to fill with the delicious aroma of baking bread. The smell wafted out onto the street, tempting early risers and passers-by. As the bread baked, Thomas began preparing the fillings for the sandwiches that would be sold later in the day. He sliced fresh tomatoes, cucumbers, and onions and prepared various spreads and sauces. By 6 a.m., the first customers began to arrive. They were regulars, mostly local residents who stopped by for their morning coffee and a fresh pastry or loaf of bread. Thomas greeted them with a warm smile and a friendly chat, knowing many of them by name. Throughout the morning, the bakery was busy with customers. Thomas and his small team worked tirelessly serving customers, baking fresh batches of bread and pastries, and keeping the shelves stocked. The atmosphere was lively and cheerful, filled with the sounds of chatter, the clinking of coffee cups, and the gentle hum of the ovens. As the morning drew to a close, the pace began to slow down. The last of the bread and pastries were sold, and the bakery began to empty. Thomas and his team cleaned the kitchen, wiping down surfaces, washing dishes, and preparing for the next day's baking. By midday, the bakery was quiet once again. Thomas locked the door and headed home, tired but satisfied. He spent another morning doing what he loved, providing his community with fresh, delicious baked goods. He knew he would be back again tomorrow, ready to start the process all over again. Vocabulary notes. Aroma, noun, meaning a distinctive, typically pleasant smell. Example, the air was thick with the warm, comforting aroma of baking bread. Explanation, this describes the pleasant smell of the bread as it bakes. Similar words, fragrance, scent, odor, can be positive or negative. Smell. Examples of similar words. The fragrance of the flowers filled the garden. There was a strange odor coming from the kitchen. Practiced, adjective, meaning having done something repeatedly, skilled. Example, Thomas the baker moved with practiced efficiency around the kitchen. Explanation, this means Thomas moved smoothly and skillfully because he had done this many times before. Similar words, skilled, experienced, proficient, adept. Example of similar words. She is a proficient pianist. He is an adept climber. Precise adjective, meaning marked by exactness and accuracy of expression or detail. Example, a process that required precise measurements and careful attention to detail. Explanation, this means the measurements needed to be exactly correct, not approximate. Similar words, exact, accurate, meticulous. Examples of similar words, the surgeon made a meticulous incision. The instructions were very accurate. Texture, noun, meaning the feel, appearance, or consistency of a surface or a substance. Example, he kneaded the dough with strong rhythmic movements, feeling the texture change beneath his hands. Explanation, this refers to how the dough felt as he worked it, its softness, elasticity, etc. Similar words, feel, surface, consistency, grain. Example of similar words, the consistency of the sauce was perfect. The wood had a rough grain. Proof, verb, noun, meaning, verb, to allow dough to rise by the action of yeast or other leavening agent. Noun, the act or process of proving dough. Example, once the dough was ready, he placed it in a large basket to proof. Explanation, this is the specific baking term for letting dough rise before baking. Related terms, proofing, proving. Distinctive adjective, meaning characteristic of one person or thing, serving to distinguish. Example, folding it into its distinctive crescent shape. Explanation, this refers to the easily recognizable curved shape of a croissant. Similar words, characteristic, unique, peculiar, notable. Examples of similar words, she has a very unique style of dressing. The building has a notable architectural design. Waft, verb, meaning pass or cause to pass gently through the air. Example, the smell wafted out onto the street, tempting early risers and passers-by. Explanation, this describes how the smell of the bread traveled through the air. Similar words, drift, float, carry, blow. Examples of similar words, the smoke drifted across the field. A gentle breeze carried the scent of flowers. Tempting adjective, meaning appealing to or attracting someone, especially by offering some pleasure or advantage. Example, the smell wafted out onto the street, tempting early risers and passers-by. Explanation, this means the smell made people want to go into the bakery. Similar words, enticing, attractive, alluring, inviting. Examples of similar words, the dessert menu looked very enticing. The warm weather was inviting us to go outside. Lively adjective, meaning full of life and energy, active and outgoing. Example, the atmosphere was lively and cheerful. Explanation, this describes the busy and happy atmosphere in the bakery. Similar words, animated, energetic, vibrant, bustling. Examples of similar words, the party was very vibrant. The market was bustling with activity. Tirelessly adverb, meaning in a way that shows great effort and endurance. Example, Thomas and his small team worked tirelessly. Explanation, this means they worked very hard and without stopping. Similar words, relentlessly, diligently, industriously, persistently. Examples of similar words, she worked diligently on her studies. He persistently pursued his goals. Story written by Google Gemini 2 AI. Images created by Image Effects AI. To read all the stories in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. Hello, this is Steve. If you enjoyed the story, please would you take the time to leave a meaningful comment and click on the like icon. If you want to know when the next story has been uploaded, please click on the notify bell icon to be notified. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and tell your English learning friends so they can benefit too. Thank you.